As we continue our coverage of what's going on in our ag commodity markets today, I'm Marlon Bowling with you, your tour guide to the ag commodities, joined right now by Brian Hoops. He is the president of Midwest Market Solutions, which is based in Springfield, Missouri, and they have offices all over the western half of the Corn Belt. Brian, good to have you with us. Here it is, our 20th anniversary here on RFD TV, and you've been with us for quite a while now. Sure appreciated the help here recently in recent years.
Yeah, happy anniversary, Marlon. Quite an achievement to be on the air for 20 years. That's awesome, and looking forward to another 20 years.
Yeah, it's a credit to the vision that Patrick Gotch had years ago, and anyway, he's done a great job, and we're glad to be a part of that. As we take a look at our market action here today, just within the last few minutes, maybe within the last hour, Brian, we had a big bounce in the soybeans. We'll get to them in a second. March corn is currently down 2 1/4 cents at 4.21 3/4. Now it appears to have some issues. It's like it's stuck in the mud today. Now, if you look at the soybeans, though, look at where we were. We had January at 11.62 earlier in the trading session today. Had a hard time getting any traction, and all of a sudden it took off here in the last hour, like I said, and it's now at 11.72.5, which would put us 3 cents higher on the day. We're about 10.5 cents off our earlier low. Now we're within a penny of our high of the day. So let me stop right here. What's going on in the soybeans? Did you hear anything this morning?
Well, there's not a lot of fresh news for soybeans. No export sales. Once again, I think the last time we've had a soybean sale, it was all the way back on November the 6th to China. So we've gone a long time here. In fact, in the month of December, we've had just 3 corn sales and 1 soybean meal sale this month. So our private sales have really slowed down. You can see that in your pricing structure, where there's about a 5 to 7 cent carry from January to go to May contract. Now you could pick up about 5 cents, and that has not been the case all fall. But this morning, the NOPA crush will come out at about 11 o'clock Central Time, and that report is expected to be bullish for soybean meal. And if you look at your soybean meal futures, those are the ones that are leading this market higher, spilling over into soybeans and to a lesser extent bean oil. It's an anticipation of this bullish crush report that we're going to see probably a new all-time record for the month of November.
Well, you can tell on the intraday chart on soy meal, this is January that we're currently looking at on our TV screens. It is higher by $4.80 at $385.50 right now. So yeah, you're right. That did have a kind of a leadership role today. And soybean oil, I noted earlier today, was lower. It still is. January down 16 points. We're at 38.57 per hundredweight. I do want to touch on the wheat here. And the wheat has had a wild ride in the last 3 or 4 trading sessions. March wheat in Chicago now has turned around to go 6 3/4 higher. And we're at 6.03 1/4 after a low of 5.94 1/4 earlier today. That's interesting. We have the hard red wheat up 8 cents at 5.70 1/4 in Kansas City this morning. Spring wheat trade. March up 3 3/4 at 5.61 1/4. What made the turnaround in wheat today? Do you know?
Well, you said it's been a wild ride. We were up sharply last week. Yesterday, a big down move, and a lot of that was just kind of on buy the rumor, sell the facts sort of a trade when it was announced that Russia would impose an export tax and try and keep more wheat within their country. It was announced this morning that Egypt had purchased 235,000 metric tons of wheat, and the fact that Russia was not included in that, I think, is a little supportive for the futures here. We started to see a rally after that was released. They bought Romanian and wheat from the Ukraine, about 235,000 metric tons, nothing from Russia and nothing from the United States.
Interesting point. The dollar value, sometimes wheat is tied to that. Let's take a quick peek at that, and then we'll take a break. Down 225 points on the March futures now on the index at 90.430. A lot of pressure there. We'll come back and take a look at livestock trade with Brian Hoops next. Our guest is Brian Hoops, and he is joining us from Springfield, Missouri right now. Let's take a look at our livestock trade here, Brian. And boy, the cattle market so far today has just been so quiet. I'm afraid to wake it up. We have December now just 2 cents lower, 1 tick lower at 109.07. February has balanced that out. It's 2 cents higher at 113.12. So just basically no movement at all here on the live cattle trade early today. On the feeder cattle market, well, it has just a minor pulse, not much going on. January up 2 cents. We have March up 15 cents. That's almost the biggest move of the day on the contracts. It's at 140.75. Biggest move is 17 cents. Lean hogs, so far, we have February now 47 cents higher at 66.15. And on the April contract, with these quotes provided by Bar Chart, we're 27 cents higher at 69.10. So lean hogs have a little bit of movement here today, Brian, but cattle market, nothing at all driving it. But on the other hand, I do have to wonder about the fact that we have cattle hanging in there basically flat and boring, but compared to the wholesale beef trade, which is just cratering here the last 3 weeks, actually it almost has that appearance that maybe it's a small win. How do you look at it?
You can definitely say it's a minor victory here for the cattle complex. You talked about wholesale product dropping since last night's close. In the last week, choice is down over $21 from week to week. Select was down over $17 from last Monday. So it's a big drop, as you said, just an implosion in these cutouts. That's hurting the packer margins. So they want to try and buy these cattle a little bit cheaper. The snowstorm coming in through parts of the plains is going to offer some support. And then you also have cattle on feed report on Friday. You have a lot smaller show list this week compared to a week ago. All this, should be a little bit of supportive feature. And so the feedlots certainly don't want to let these cattle go any cheaper than they have to. And I think you're going to see a standoff until a little bit later in the week, maybe even around the cattle on feed report release on Friday.
Yeah, sometimes those southern track snowstorms can be kind of nerve-wracking because they go right through the cattle feeding areas, and that can be pretty detrimental. It depends on how severe those storms really get. Brian, thanks again for joining us here on our 20th anniversary. Always good to talk with you. Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions from Springfield, Missouri. Tammy, I'll turn it back to you.